Guys, it feels good to be back. Specifically, it feels good to be back with Classroom of the Elite, baby. It's been about a year since we did Season 2 on the channel. It was actually, Season 3, funny enough, was actually supposed to come out, like, a while ago, like, last year. It was supposed to come out in the same year, or in 2023, but they delayed it until January of 2024, so here we are. Now, this season is gonna be interesting, as you all have seen already, because this is gonna be a very character-driven season. I mean, every season of Classroom of the Elite is kind of character-driven. Let's keep it a buck. But this season, more so than others, I would say. Because as you all have probably already realized, we're already done with our event that kicked off our season, where we literally just jumped into this event, by the way. They didn't even bother to try to explain it. They're like, put them on the bus. We'll explain it on the way there. We only got so much time and so many episodes. Let's just get into it. Man. I think we just have to accept the fact, guys, that Classroom of the Elite will never be adapted how it probably should be adapted, with far more detail in it, far more little attention to detail. Like, watching these two episodes today, because we're going to talk about episode 1 and 2. Watching the episodes, you can see the little bits where they try to include stuff. Like, they keep the important stuff for the most part. They cut the T-Rex scene, by the way. I almost rioted when I didn't see that, but you can see that they try to keep the little important things, but they can't put everything. If they had to include every single thing that needs to be included in Classroom of the Elite, every season would legit be like 24 to 26 episodes. It would have to be. And it's just, you can tell Lelouch, the studio, just can't. They can't do that. They don't have the budget to do that, unfortunately. Which they should. Classroom of the Elite is one of the biggest light novels in Japan by freaking far. You would think they'd have the budget for it, but we gotta make amazing-ass One Piece openings instead. Constantly, guys. What can I say? But let's get into it, because we got a good amount to talk about with these two episodes. So, as you guys have clearly seen from these last two episodes, we had our mixed training camp arc here, and it's done already. Let me tell you guys now, we're done with this arc already. Why do you think I said in my seasonal overview for the 2024 season, when I read Classroom of the Elite, why do you think I told you guys what a misleading description this really is? Because they talked about the first couple episodes, and that's it. This was the most irrelevant part of this arc, and that's what they focused on. Or this season. But I've already seen so many people saying, what was the point of this? Like, this is so random. It's so random. Let me tell you guys right now. This series never does anything randomly. I want you to remember that going forward. Nothing is random in this series, even if it seems it. And this arc in particular is not exactly the most relevant. The point of this arc was the characters. To reintroduce us to some characters and to get some development for them, and to really flush out characters from other classes. A lot of you watching this series might think, oh, Class D. Oh, my mistake. Class C now. They made a little offhand comment about that in the first episode, but they're Class C now after the events of Season 2. A lot of people seem to think that they're going to be the main focus point in our show. No. Every single class in this year, in other years, are all going to be relevant. And that's what this arc showcases to us. The point of this arc was really for us to flush out characters like Hashimoto, Yukimura, Ishizaki, who is mortified after that fucking ass kicking he got in Season 2. And for us to get a taste of Nagamo, as we see at the end of our second episode. We'll get into Nagamo in a bit because I don't exactly love how he's been handled in the anime adaptation. But I will say, the one scene I think they did do well, in episode 2 in particular, was the scene at night where all of them are just talking with each other and just kind of airing things out. Really just expressing who they are as people with each other and just forming a little bit of a kinship between them. You know, even if they're from different classes, that was the whole point of this arc, was to start forming bonds with people from other classes. Will that be relevant in the future? I don't know. We'll have to see. But that was the point of it. And I think they did that scene pretty well for the most part. You know, Yukimura airs out his grievances and how he feels useless all the time. And Hashimoto made himself seem a little more human, you know? A little more approachable than he already is. I'm on my Hashimoto bullshit today with the ponytail, by the way, too. So... Overall, this arc was, like, extremely rushed. Even more rushed than I initially thought it would be. I thought this arc would be about 3 episodes, guys. About 3 episodes. I think they could have done it. But they did it in 2. Like, next week, we might get a little explanations on how things happen. Like, you know, how Ayano Koji got Koenji to actually participate in the event. How they all started to get closer together. We'll see a bunch of stuff like that next week. Our scene with Hashimoto Ryuen meeting up with Nagamo and Horikita's brother, man, I'm very glad they included that scene, but they didn't expand upon it at all. So, I would assume we'll get into that next week. So, I don't want to, just flat out tell you guys what happened. We'll wait till next week. And if they don't cover that, which would just be ridiculous, I will go into it and explain to you guys what happened. But let's talk about Nagamo a little bit. And what his real goal in this arc was. Because you see, at the very beginning of our arc, he very publicly, for a specific reason, challenges Horikita's brother to a challenge, you know? Just to see who could be the number 1 at this camp. Because the goal of this camp, like I said, is just to push people together from a bunch of different classes, have them form kinships, and to compete against each other to see who can win. It's an extremely straightforward arc. It's literally how Ayano Koji says in the first episode. There's no loopholes to exploit this time. There's no workarounds for this. It is that straightforward. You just gotta work as a team. And Nagamo challenges Horikita's brother immediately, saying, "Oh, we'll be number 1. Our team will be number 1. And Horikita's brother took that shit because he knows he's gonna win. And lo and behold, he did win. But Nagamo is a very crafty character, as we see that his goal was never to beat Horikita's brother. It was to take out his right-hand person. His goal was to take out Tachibana, which he did not succeed in because Horikita's brother took a huge blow to their class points, and they actually dropped out of A class into B, which is a big thing. That's a huge thing, obviously, if you remember this series, because if you're in class A, that means when you graduate, you can do literally anything you want. The world is truly your oyster. And they dropped down because he saved her at the last second. Played right into Nagamo's hand. It says, Ayano Koji says, Nagamo won this altercation, even though he technically lost. Nagamo's a crafty character. I just wish they would have introduced him when they should have in Season 2. Like, obviously, I remember the little speech and all that he gave in Season 2, guys, but he was supposed to be really introduced during our date at the end of Season 2. That's when he was truly supposed to make his appearance, but they cut that scene. Classroom of the Elite, man, the adaptation has cut some pretty important scenes over the course of its adaptation, which does hurt the series. It's such a dense series, man, that there's just so much to go over. So many characters, dude. That's like the blessing and the curse of this series, is that there's just so much great stuff that they cannot include it all. But alright, let's start getting into a little bit of the nitty gritty of the important details that came out of this arc. Let's start with Ayano Koji's meeting with Horikita's brother. This is probably our actual most important scene of this little arc, our little 2-episode arc, where he meets him at night. And Horikita's brother just flat out asks him, I want you to take out Nagamo. Because remember, he's leaving. He's a 3rd year. He only has like a couple months left here. And he's going to leave. But he wants Ayano Koji to take out Nagamo. And one way to make this happen is he directly tells him, I want you to put my sister on the student council and manipulate things behind the scenes. He tells him that flat out. And to help him with that, he introduces him to the current student council president, a 2nd year named Kiriyama. Now, one thing I've seen is that, oh man, Classroom of the Elite just introduces all these irrelevant ass characters. Let me tell you, this series loves to introduce characters that might not be relevant in the moment, might not seem relevant at all in the moment, but they are all relevant eventually. They all play their part eventually and are reoccurring characters that we will see throughout the show. My best piece of advice for people watching this series, pay attention to the characters. There is not a single moment that seems irrelevant. Even a scene introduced in our first episode between Mi-chan, Sheena, and Ichinose. I guarantee a lot of you thought, why are we focusing on this? This seems so irrelevant. But it will play a part later in our show. You have to pay attention to these little details. Even in this adaptation, in the anime, which is not the best. I'll be the first one to tell you all. They do an okay enough job of giving you the little hints you need if you pay attention. But anyway, that's what Horikita's brother's goal is he wants Ayano Koji to kind of direct the school behind the scenes. Because he knows, man, he knows full well that Ayano Koji is one of the most, if not the most competent person here. And he can do it the best. He doesn't like how Nagamo wants to handle this school. So that's why he wants Ayano Koji to help him with that. And because he knows, man, he knows Ayano Koji is that guy. And we're going to see throughout this season people starting to get an understanding that, no, Ayano Koji's clearly freaking hiding some stuff. Like with Koenji in our 2nd episode today, where he was able to deduce that, so you're the one that quieted down Dragon Boy, huh? He was able to deduce that because Ayano Koji held him in place. Now, and Koenji's a strong motherfucker, man. After Ayano Koji, Koenji might be the strongest person in the school in terms of like physical strength. He might actually be stronger, but that's a totally different topic. But people are starting to understand that Ayano Koji is like, no, we need to keep our eye on this guy. That's why I want you guys to remember Hashimoto. Remember him later in our season. He's starting to get that idea too. Now let's talk about characters, because the show, as you guys have seen, loves to shift the focus to multiple different characters in multiple different situations. Some characters that are fan favorites are not going to be very relevant in this season, while other ones that haven't had as much time in the spotlight are going to get pushed into it. I'll tell you guys something now that you all might not like. Kay is not relevant in this season at freaking all, essentially, until like the very, and I mean like very, very end. She is not irrelevant at all. And I know so many people fell in love with her after season 2, but she is not going to be in the limelight at all this season, guys. I'm telling you right now, she's not. Because Kay has a certain role she plays, and she plays it well. She's essentially Ayano Koji's pulse on what the girls are doing. She's his little lifeline into what the girls are doing at this school. His little puppet, if you will say. And boy, Ayano Koji loves to use his tools. But characters that are going to be relevant this season, I'll even tell you now. The two characters that are going to be far more relevant than Kei are obviously Saki Inagi, because she is plastered everywhere this season. They're not even trying to hide that she's going to be one of the most important characters, because she is. But another one is Ichinose. As Saki Inagi even says herself, that my target right now is not you, Ayano Koji. It's Class B with Ichinose. That's her target. All I'll say is, we're going to really break down Ichinose this season. We're going to, really break her down. And it's going to be something. She's going to be far more relevant than Kei this season. Sorry to tell you guys. We also have our ongoing struggle with Horikita and Kushida, with Horikita genuinely trying to get Kushida on her side. Because she, as much as they have a little history together, and how Kushida hates her fucking guts, by the way, Horikita knows that if we want to succeed and really make our way up the ranks in this school, I need you. The class needs you. We need someone like you on our side. And Kushida's just not having it, dude. She's still... I will say, the backstory with Kushida is still a little lame to me. Even I think it's a little lame that, oh, you know my dark secret, so I fucking hate your guts. It's a little lame, I'll be real. Even I'll be the one to admit that. But it is what it is. So they are at odds, and Horikita is desperately trying to get her on her side. Will it work? Only time will tell. But that is a little plot point that we'll have to remember going forward. Let's talk about Ryuen a bit, because I mentioned him earlier in our episode, but let's talk about him a bit. Now, he did not get expelled at the end of Season 2, because Ayano Koji intervened and saved him. But he's a very different character right now. He actually stepped down as the leader from the now Class D. Because Class C is D. They switched positions. So Ryuen's class is actually Class D right now. And he stepped down as the leader of the class. And it's taken more of a background character approach. He's very different. He's, as Koenji literally says, he's tamed in a way right now. Right now. And his character is quite interesting. As we see, he met up with Nagamo and Horikita's brother. I truly hope they explain that in the next episode, by the way. If they don't, I will. I promise that. But he is a far more subdued character. And we can't have that, man. He's one of the best characters in this show. Y'all hate him after Season 2. I love Ryuen. And this season, we're gonna see exactly why he's one of the best characters in this show. I'm sorry, he is. You hate him, but yeah, you love to hate him at the same time, you know? We'll get into him a bit more, but keep him in the back of your mind as well. I'll be honest, guys, I didn't expect this video to be as long as it was, but there's just so much to go over, so much that they didn't cover, and just so much information. This is such a dense series, man, that there's just so much to talk about. So many characters, so many plot points. Every single character in the show has a scheme or a goal going on. Even when you think they don't, they do. Everyone has something in mind. Keep that in your mind. Even in a relevant encounter, even a meeting with a character like Nazuna, who we see in the second episode, Ayano Koji finds her little amulet on the ground and gives it back to her, which was something that was also supposed to happen in Season 2, obviously, but they had to literally shoehorn it into this season. Even a meeting with her, who she's essentially Nagamo's right-hand woman, will be relevant in the future, as we see that her and Nagamo have a very interesting relationship, as she herself puts it. Like I said, guys, there's just so many moving parts to this series, so much going on, actually, that the anime cannot do it all justice, frankly. Let's be real. They're not gonna do it justice. So I promise you all, if they don't explain things and y'all are confused, I will do so. So let me know your thoughts on our first 2 episodes of Classroom of the Elite Season 3, because they were very, very rushed, but they got the general point across. So if you guys are confused, ask me questions in the comments, man. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. Because, just like y'all, I love the series, but it can be a bit confusing at times. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And until next time, guys, I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I'll see you all then. Deuces.